Yo, what up, everybody? I'm here, Harry G, with Rossi G. Uh, so Ross set up a little workout plan for me. I have a goal, 2020 New Year resolution goal. Not even able to touch the net right below the rim, right? Like I'm not even able when I jump, my mechanics, something's off. I'm not even able to grab the rim. I'm 5'10". Should be able to grab the rim. No bunnies at all these days. What I'm trying to do is by the end of 2020, I want to be able to dunk a basketball. Now I know a lot of you are like, "Whoa, slow your roll. What are you talking about?" Well, Ross set up Ross a trained physical therapist, knows biomechanics, knows basketball. He has developed a workout plan that can get not only me, but anybody that wants to try the ability to increase their vertical, increase their jumping ability, change up the fibers in their tissue to be able to, right? Am I saying this right? To be able to have the flexibility to be able to jump higher. Now, will I be able to dunk by end of 2020? I can't read the future, so I don't know. But that's the goal. Ross, walk us through. So Ross set it up step by step. The first month is trying to increase the range of a squat, of a deadlift, of lunges, that type of thing, to try to increase the range so that when I'm loading weight onto those muscles, I'm able to not only load a lot of weight, but increase the range and increase how far I'm going down on those sets so that I can do them the right way so that I can increase the muscle flexibility. Tell me how that tell me and tell the listeners how that will help me with my jumping capabilities and why the range is so important.
Great intro by Harry G. Um, Clean up some of the verbiage, but that's pretty good. You did good. You're gonna get some good bunnies. Okay. Um, I think the important thing to do is to really look at your goal and then reverse engineer that goal. So if your goal is to lose weight, all right, where do you want to end, and how are you gonna get right before that moment? How are you going to get before that moment? How are you going to get before that moment? So if you reverse engineer and you build a program that way, if you follow the program in theory, it should work every single time. Um, so I think one of the barriers is how do you get someone to just follow the plan and just stay on program? And that's a different conversation, but that's really important too. So your goal is to jump as high as you can and to do it not as a basketball player would do it, really to do it, all right, let me optimize how tired I am. So in a real basketball game, you're going to be tired. You have to be able to jump when you're tired. We're not going for any of that. We're going for strictly power output. How high can you jump? And of course, the skill of actually dunking. And you're not going to be doing that when you're actually cardiovascularly fatigued and you're not muscular fatigued. You're actually optimizing yourself before you attempt these jumps. So, yeah, the goal is the most important thing. So that's your goal. You want to just be able to touch rim in that situation and dunk in that situation. So how do you plan back from that? If I had somebody, a trained athlete, already had really good movement, and it was already really strong and really built in their legs, I would say, listen, the only thing we really have to do is different ways. So if you've already been squatting, now we're going to add resistance bands to not only resist further, but assist your squats. So if you look at the end of his program, it's going to be a lot of 1 to 5 rep range. We're really going to stay with the four reps just to keep it simple. And that's going to optimize your power output, right? Because if you get too fatigued, we're not training you to jump 10 times straight. You're not a basketball player. You don't really need that. You just need, all right, let's stick with 1 to 4, extremely powerful. We're not getting tired. Take a 3-minute rest. Restore your energy. Simple. So we're using stuff like bands along with the weight to mimic a jump, because in a jump, you're not going to stop at the end. So you squat in a regular squat, you actually slow down at the end of it, right? Because you don't want to jump when you squat. You just want to lift the weight. So when you add something like a band, the tension actually increases in the band as it's pulling, right? So as you get to the end range of the squat, when you're ready to lock your knees out, the tension's at its greatest. So the acceleration component, it's decelerating you. So that's good. Another important aspect that's not really seen that much, that I don't really see that much, is assisted training, which you'll be doing too, which is the bands on the other side. It's actually helping you go up, and that's good for things like top speed. It's been shown for top jump, peak jumping ability, not as much as acceleration, right? So that's the point we want to get you to. And in order to get there, you said you want to do it in a year. So I'm saying, hey, let's do 2 training blocks. And it's very simple. 2 training blocks where you are really going from a higher rep range, like an 8 rep, to a 2 rep and a 1 rep max. You're going to do that twice. And that's just going to pack on a ton of muscle, a ton of strength. And then you could turn that to power, turn that to skill and power to be able to dunk. Before you do any of that, though, what we're doing right now for this month is you have to learn how to move. And that's usually the first step for most people. Are you even moving the right way? Because if you could just spend a month and just narrow in on what are the corrective exercises, maybe they are a squat, just with a little slack in the system. It's not stretching. It's not lower level exercises. It's stuff that we've been doing in the gym just to get you closer to just, all right, I want to throw you under the bar as soon as possible, but we want to do it optimally where you're getting the most out of it and the safest, right? So I think that's the way you reverse engineer it pretty simply.
Yeah, no, I like all that. I think this is really the way that you've engineered this program and the way that you came about this program is great, because it's kind of, there's something in the business world that we a phrase we use called a reframe. And reframing is basically taking a problem. You think that you have one problem, you think you have one goal, and that's all you think about. So like my goal, right, is I want to be able to dunk. But that's not the root cause of the root cause of the problem isn't that I can't dunk. It's not even that I can't jump high, right? Even if you keep going down to a granular level, the real root right now is I don't have the range to even squat well enough to be able to do the exercises I want to do correctly that will eventually get me to a point where I can jump higher. And then once I can jump higher, then we could start talking about, once I've not even jump higher, get more strength in my legs. Once I get more strength in my legs, then we could start talking about jumping. Then when I can jump high enough, I still won't be able to dunk, because that's a whole nother skill set. That's not even, being able to jump high is not the same as being able to dunk. We were talking a little bit about it similarly with losing weight. People always say they want to lose weight, like even people that don't really need to, even including myself. I've kind of been in situations where I'm like, yeah, I could lose 5 to 10 pounds. That would be awesome. But it's not. Thinking about it that way isn't going to help you. Thinking about, I want to be more active, I want to be healthier, I want my mental state to be in the right place. Those are the things that will cause you to lose weight. But if you just think, I want to lose weight and still maintain the same habits every single day that you currently are, you might lose weight. You might randomly, but it's not guaranteed. So just talk a little bit about how you can stay focused on granular level on goals.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. That's a good comparison, Harrison.
Good one.
Yeah, so I think that's a good way to look at it. You are not really going for the end goal, you're going for the little goals to get you to the end goal. And it's like that everyday focus. And it's kind of what I was talking about before. Actually doing the program for someone that knows what they're doing at some level, can actually lay out the program so you're not loading too much, you're not loading too little, you're doing the right things in the gym at the right times, and it's really not that hard to program. So this program, if he did it and he did it consistently, I don't know how many more inches he'll get, and there's so many things that go into it because we're going to be dealing with nutrition the whole time, and there's so many things. But if he had the ability to choose exactly what I wanted him to choose, then he would probably get there. If he didn't, then he probably wouldn't. And this is a big thing that I think about is all the tactile stuff. So you have all these tactile things that you could do differently in the gym. And for the most part, it'll be similar between trainers, better trainers maybe will give you 20% boost, 25% boost in the gym. Like, I'm talking about trainers that really know what they're doing. So 2 trainers that really know what they're doing. One knows a little bit more. It might be like 20% more. I think the more important things that people don't usually talk about is the other 80%, in my opinion, that's more long-term compliance. Are you just willing to work your face off and just do the right things consistently? And do you have somebody that can help you get in that frame of mind? That's why it's important to do, and keeping your eye on the prize type of thing. I think that's the true value. I think making the program itself is pretty simple. It was simple. I did it in like 3.5, 4 hours. So for someone that knows it, it's not that hard. There's not too much value there. So that's why I'm willing to just give it for free, because it was easy. And someone that's not willing to give it for free, I think they should be exposed like that. They're not,
because they might not know what they're
no,
doing.
I'm serious. Yeah, I'm serious. They might know what they're doing, but I think they should be exposed, because there's not so much value in that. It's
There's not
easy.
value in the creation of the program. That's not where the
That's not the value. The value is someone that's going to walk you through some of the tactile biomechanic things. Yes, that's valuable. It's hard to do on your own, but it's someone that's going to keep you macro, not so micro. The micro is easy. The macro is all right, let's stay focused, work your face off. What are you eating? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? All this type of stuff, and keeping your load in check. That's the macro, and that's the more, I think that's where more of the value is for people to get help.
Yeah, let's put it this way too. Like, if I get closer here, if I went to a personal trainer and I was like, yeah, I want to be able to jump higher, this is what I'm talking about. They would bring me to the squat rack first day, right? They would just bring me right to the squat rack, which is fine, and that will help. But you have to think about it. Like I said, there are people, maybe I'm going too fast still. Like, there might be other things I can do as well, aside from, like, 2 months ago, I wouldn't be able to do all these squats. Like, remember, my knee was messed up, my left knee. I had to do all of this physical therapy, a lot of biking, a lot of rest, not playing basketball, staying off it. And that's really where it started for me. I mean, I didn't really think about that goal of being able to jump higher until now, but I'm saying, like, if I 3 months ago said I want to be able to dunk, I would have to go through all of that first before I was able to do any of this training to increase my mobility and my ability to kind of get lower in squats. Like, I wasn't even able to squat at all, like 3 months ago. So it depends where you are right now. And that's what a physical trainer doesn't, I won't say all, I won't put all of them in the same category, but a lot of times doesn't understand is that everybody's starting at a different place. No matter how old you are, like, even if I'm with someone that's the same age, same weight, we're the same, body fat content, like, maybe there's someone who's very similar to me, that does not mean we're in the same spot to start trying the same exercises. There's so much other things that go into it. So I think it's going to be great. Let's walk through a little bit now more on the specifics of what these first exercises are, in case there's some people that would want to follow along. So you had me start by doing, what were they called again? The squats that we were doing, not barbell, goblet squats. Can you walk through what that looks like? And we'll put the video up here to show, like, how I was doing them.
Yeah, and we'll also throw in the program. Maybe we could just throw it on screen, and we'll put it in the description. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. So as far as biomechanics, so the most important thing, if we go a little bit ahead, we want them to be able to squat, deadlift, lunge, very simple exercises that we can easily load with a bar to gain strength and muscle pretty easily over time. So we have to work on those biomechanics. So I think it's not the easiest thing. And the way I look at it is I take a top-down approach to movement. So if you're somebody, and if the squat is the goal and the deadlift is the goal and the lunge is the goal, all right, what's inhibiting you from getting there? Is it a range of motion? Is it a movement thing? Is it a strength thing? And what I think is, if he doesn't have the hamstring flexibility to appropriately do a deadlift, am I just going to sit him down on the table for 30 minutes and stretch out his hamstrings? No, because that really wouldn't transfer over probably, and it's just such a low level exercise. You're just not getting a lot out of it. But if we do some of the things that we did, the Romanian deadlifts, right? So that's almost like a hamstring stretch, but it's very focused. You're keeping a certain spinal position. You're keeping a certain level of attention on your movement, and you're gaining motor control, motor awareness. You're very aware after one day, very aware after of your spinal position.
One day I'm already like much better in terms of just being aware of that stuff.
Yeah,
that's
that
step one.
that's huge,
for me.
and you're gaining everything. You're getting range. You're getting strength in ranges of motion. And I actually have I wrote a whatever you want to call it. It's more than a blog. It's not quite a research paper, but it's really informative about gaining strength and range for hamstring muscles, and people are just doing these passive modalities,
We'll put that in the description too, so
yeah,
they can read that.
passive stretching, and it really doesn't do nothing. But for somebody that's trying to do a movement, you do the movement, and if you can't do the squat, guess what? You do something just below the squat. And how do you do that? You just put some slack in the system. So what we did is a goblet squat, and that's up on the screen, where we have a weight in front, and that weight is really acting as a counterbalance, something pretty much to hold on to keep your chest upright, and it helps you learn the movement. Just to be quick about it. And we also have foot plates that we use to raise the heels, and that does a whole ton of things. It eliminates the amount of range of motion that you have to go through in your ankles, and it just keeps you more upright, so it limits the amount of hip flexion, hip range of motion just in general that you have to go through. And it's a great time to just teach the movement when they're in their end ranges of motion. All right, how do we maintain spinal alignment in all these moves, you know? So some moves, like for him, the forward lunge, easy move for him to get. He looked pretty good right away doing the forward lunge. Deadlift and squat, for most people, it's usually like this. It takes a little bit more work, a little bit more breakdown, but then eventually, once we build up to that in a month, now he's ready to load it with a bar, and he looks amazing, and now he's building that strength. So just not going from the squat all the way down to laying down on your back and stretching your hips out and trying to cram your hips into extension. Rather, you might have that range of motion, but you don't exhibit it in the squat because you don't have the pelvic control. You don't have the core control. Your body doesn't want you to go in those positions. So you work the range with the movement. You work the strength with the movement. You work the mindset with the movement. You work the awareness with the movement.
These are effective. These are effectively stretches. Like when you think about it to the core, like what are you trying to do with a stretch? You're trying to relax your muscles. You're trying to increase your range of motion. Well, that's the end goal of this is the same. Yeah. It's just not your typical. It's not what somebody would tell you that's a physical trainer would not tell you that's a stretch. But it works the same way.
Yeah, it works as a stretch,
better.
and
it works better.
It's better than a stretch, and it's also
and the motion at the same
it's also
time.
strength.
Yeah.
It's also strength. It's definitely strength. It's motor control, learning the movement. People don't understand. Learning the movement can play a big role. Why would you break down each one into a lower level exercise like a stretch or a strengthening exercise that's not challenging the movement as a whole when that might not be it? Just cross your T's, dot your I's by doing the movement, and you'll hit everything that you need to hit, right? And it's practice. It's a skill. Squatting's a skill. These are all skills, right? If I had you practice a split, a split for a month, and you were able to do a split, that probably wouldn't even transfer into your squat at all. It's the movement it's just different motor patterning. Joints are moving differently.
It's practice.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same with anything. What we were talking about before.
Yeah, it's practice
the motion.
Yeah, and it's honestly very basic, but people kind of sometimes want to get a little bit too complicated, and I was definitely like this. Just get a little too complicated and really break down what muscles doing what like microanatomizing when it's not the time to do that. And they're not just saying, you know what, let's just practice that movement. Like, screw all the bells and whistles. And I'm not trying to sell or show anything. I just want straight results. That's the way that you should do it. It's just top down. Can't squat. Add a heel lift, you know?
Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, what we were talking about before, it's comparable. It's comparable to any sport. Like any sport that you play. So we're talking about basketball a lot. You want to have a jump shot. You want to have a good jump shot, and you shoot with your elbow sticking out, chicken wing, and and you can't. Some people it works. Some people it works fine to have bad form, and like it still works out for them, and that's great. That's fine. But 95% of people, I would say, if you don't have the right form and you just keep practicing the wrong form. I mean, Markel Fultz, I think, is the best example of this. His form is just so screwed up, and in college it worked, but in the NBA it's not working because it's not consistent. And if he just took the time to practice the form of a normal jump shot, and I don't know what the coaches in or in Philly were doing, but if he just took the time to practice a normal form jump shot, he'd get rid of it. It doesn't matter what his nerves are. It doesn't matter how much he's training in other areas. He'll be able to shoot the ball well because he has the athletic ability. It's just practicing that motion It's the same with lifting. If you want to be better at it, you got to practice the motion, and you have to make sure that you're doing it right. There are people at the gym that I see that are jacked, right? That are these huge bodybuilder, lift tons of weight, 300-pound bench, right? But I could tell some of them aren't doing those exercises correctly. Some of their bodies look a little like misshaped because of it too. Like if you're lifting too much and you're working out areas that probably shouldn't be being worked if you're doing these exercises correctly, that's how you can hurt yourself. That's why people are afraid to load a lot of weight onto the bar, without a spotter, because a lot of people feel like they're not in shape to do that they'll get hurt if they do that type of exercise. But it's really about doing it correctly, and that's, I think, the biggest point here. Anything else to add on to the training program? Some more tips for the listeners?
Yeah. It's definitely important to do the moves correctly, and that's like get my little air horn quotes, to do them correctly. And when I mean correctly, I mean safely. So if someone's squatting, not to parallel, so that means their thigh bone is parallel with the ground, and but it's safe. Their knees aren't completely caving in. Their low back position looks good, and they're objective. They're also pretty subjective. So it's someone that you need to guide you through this type of stuff. So correctly, that's a spectrum, right? So it has to look pretty good. You're not going for perfect. It just doesn't work. There's no perfect squat. So I think you get it pretty good, like pretty good, which is what most people don't have. So get it pretty good, and then if it's pretty good, then if say someone had pain when they're lifting and someone deadlifts, whatever, they deadlift and squat all the time, they have a pretty good form and now they have pain. I wouldn't go for the 2% to fix their form. Maybe I'll work on it a little bit, but what would I go to first? I'd go to how much load do they have per week? What's their load? Just if they did too much, do less. And those are numbers. You can calculate that. So I think it's really important to have really good mechanics, but you don't have to get obsessed. Like you get there, you keep getting better and better. Once it's relatively safe, you keep getting better as you load the bar.
Yeah, so we're gonna so like I said, if you want to follow this along with us, great. If you're at a different spot in your training cycle, or if you think that you're maybe past this point or not at this point yet to be doing some of this stuff, leave a comment below, and we'll try to figure out, how can we better position your program to be right for you, to be at a better starting point. Check us out. Check Ross out at BIOMECHBBALL on TikTok. And we will be back to you. We'll regroup every month with some updates, some progress updates, and what we're doing the next month.
I literally put a TikTok post, and I only have 300 something followers right now. I'm gonna really up the amount of content I post once I'm doing some training, and I'll start documenting all that. So there'll be a lot of content. But I put out a post that says, DM me with fitness or basketball advice, absolutely free, I don't want to get paid for stuff online that's not of value. If someone's charging you, I want to expose that. Just come to me. I know what I'm talking about. I promise you, I know what I'm talking about with anything related to that. Anything else business, I don't know shit. I know that stuff though. So just DM. Set. Yeah. Don't just DM me on Instagram or something like that, and I'll look at the context. I won't give you blank garbage. I'll see where you're at, what you're doing, and just let me know. All right.
All right, yeah, let's do this together. Let's dunk by the end of 2020.